Hello, welcome back. They're really bugging me to kind of get this channeled message out today. And there's a lot of intense energy. You might be going through purging right now. You might feel like you're going through energetic upgrades. You might feel a little ill, under the weather. What they've told me in the past when we go through these sort of portals and periods of time where it's a lot of upgrades is the best way to describe it, is they need you horizontal. They need you to be lying still as much as possible. You don't necessarily need to be asleep, but they really need you to not be go, 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 super active. And that's why you can kind of feel under the weather, because they're really just trying to get you to sit still. So if you're someone that, practices sitting still and being calm, you don't have to worry about that as much, because they'll work on you during this little portal we're in. But it is a Leo full moon, so there can be a lot of emotion bubbling up to the surface. Anything that has not been dealt with, anything that has not been looked at, this feels like a very powerful moon, especially for the Twin Flame Collective, and that is who I'm going to be speaking about today. And this goes for masculines and feminines and anything in between. One thing that's really an interesting concept that I'm writing a note down really quick, that's been coming up, and I've been discussing it with other twin flames and people on a spiritual journey, is, what's the difference between a spiritual ascension journey and a twin flame journey? And there really isn't much difference. What they've been sharing with me is when your soul decides to incarnate at the same time as your twin flame, and I believe everybody has a twin flame, we just don't always incarnate at the same time together, or we are nowhere near where we need to be in order to have a physical encounter with them in our lifetime. But oftentimes, twin flames, I believe, choose to support one another from different dimensions, different realms, different planetary places in the cosmos, that sort of thing, versus being together. If you choose to incarnate at the exact same time, there's a very important mission. There's a very important path that is meant to take place. And I'm going to go into that a little bit. That's kind of what they're really bugging me to share. But before I do that, I just want to touch on, this idea of whatever spiritual ascension path that your soul selected as a light worker, as a starseed, as someone coming here at this very prominent time in our collective history of humanity, that you're here with a specific purpose, and your guides, your oversoul, your connection to source, to oneness, all of that has a very specific path, purpose that it needs you to get to, that it needs you to accomplish. And so there will be stops along the journey to get you to that, so that you will download those codes, so that you will transmute and heal that karma, release that pain. A twin flame path is a motherfucker. So it transmutes that karma quicker than anything I know. But I also know there are people working an ascension path that have been awakened during this time, and they've had a lot. You go through similar sort of stops on the journey, but what I've seen with the twin flames is it's accelerated because of the triggering, because of this other person, because of the complications, because of the codes. I've been rereading the Sophia Code. I don't know if anyone has ever read it. It's an incredible book. And what I've been noticing as I'm reading it is all of these, it takes you through these initiations with ascended masters, Isis, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Hathor, like all these beautiful ascended masters, divine feminine ascended masters. And as I'm going through this book and we're working through these initiations, I'm realizing, oh my God, my twin flame journey has already activated all this within me. Like, it already happened. And it was kind of the hard way. It's kind of like the ripping the Band-Aid off type of path versus the maybe like several years, kind of slow, like, I don't know. That's the best way I know to describe it. But it doesn't mean that an ascension path won't get you at a certain stop. So if the mission is to teach about unconditional love and what true faith is and self-worth, then you're going to hit certain points on a journey to get to that point, right? To get to whatever that mission, whatever that purpose is. And so for many twin flames, that's their purpose. The purpose is coming together to heal, transmute this karma, and then also to teach and heal when it comes to what true divine unconditional love is. So, you know, you gotta be at certain stops on the path. You need to have the Isis codes running through your body. You need to have the Yeshua codes running through your body. You need to have these working within you, and that comes from transmuting and healing the pain. And these sort of activations, these portals that we go through, these full moons, that's what's occurring, right? When shit blows up in our life and it makes us feel like, oh my God, I must be doing something wrong. No, you're doing something right. And it's exactly what needs to be occurring at that time in order to transmute the whole, everything that you have that's blocking you from true unconditional love is really what you are working to release on a twin flame journey. An ascension spiritual journey can do the same thing. So if you have a very similar mission, but you're not incarnated at the same time as your twin, you may really identify with the twin flame journey, because there may be lessons and teachings that you're called to, your soul calls you to, and you wonder, like, will I ever meet this person? And sometimes for you, you're lucky. You're not meant to be with a twin. You're meant to be with a soulmate, and that is much more kumbaya is the word that came through. So, but it doesn't mean that those paths aren't going to intersect, those lessons, those teachings, those journeys aren't going to intersect, because they're beneficial to both, right? So I'll meet people who are operating a lot of the codes that I myself have, and that's why I can see and recognize it in someone, and they're not on a twin flame path, but they're on an ascension path. So we're all here with a very specific purpose and mission, and it's all this immaculate design, right? That our oversouls, our higher selves, are all working on this together to ascend at this time, right? And to help humanity ascend with Gaia. So that's just a little note that something was coming up, and I was discussing with other people on spiritual journeys, kind of like what the difference is, what's the intersection, and there's many intersections, so it could look familiar. In my experience, I've just seen that if you really work the twin flame journey, meaning you surrender and you don't resist and you allow and you just get out of your own ego way and you just like, okay, what do you want from me? What do you want me to know? It's an accelerated path. It's like I mean, yeah, I thought I was awakened, and I was to an extent prior to the twin flame activation. I thought I was, and I was working a path, but the depth that I'm able to be at now, the way that I operate and live my life, the trust, the faith that I work, that I live, that I breathe, it's honestly at such a level that I never thought would be possible for me. I never thought it'd be possible to be in a human body and live the way I'm living. And that doesn't mean that everything's perfect in the 3D. I want to be really clear on that. No, as twin flames, part of what's getting downloaded and becoming really clear, you will never reach the pinnacle of success you're meant to reach unless you come together. Unless you come together, because that's what your soul's designed. That is the mission. Okay, that is the last lesson. Now, I don't want to say the last lesson, because I'm sure there's many lessons when you do come together, but there is this really powerful initiation that occurs in that coming together and kind of surrendering. But there is a lot of difficulty in doing that, particularly for one twin or the other. It can be really intense to acknowledge. It can be really intense to surrender to the universal truth. And that's something that is kind of what they were really barking at me to share was this idea of true abundance, true success, the blessings, the gifts that you are meant to be gifted if you are walking this path as a twin flame, if you've met this person, if you've been activated by this person, if you know who this person is, or just even if you feel like this is something that is going to happen for you. But I'm really going to be addressing like the first wave of the twin flames, which is usually, it's the collective I'm a part of, and it's usually kind of who the messages are for. However, I do believe that second wavers have been coming in and been benefiting from the messages. But success in the 3D comes from the union. I've tried every way around it. I really have. I've and they're just like, no, no, because you hold the codes for one another. The syncing, the vibrational universal flow energy comes from one another. And I've experienced this. At the time, didn't know I was a twin flame, didn't know that I was connecting with a twin flame. But just in the simplicity of breathing and prana and sharing moments of breathing, the syncing that occurred in those spaces, it's like the connection to the body, the connection to the heart, to the soul was truly complete in those moments of truth, in those moments of no masks, in those moments of grounded breath. And the closest we can come to that is through breathing, right? Breath work is such a powerful, powerful tool. And it was unifying in the universal truths at that moment, right? It was grounding together and sharing the codes that the other has. As twin flames, you know, there's so much debate of people go around and go, no, you're complete already. You don't need this person. And then some are like, no, you're not complete. You need this person. And it's the paradox. It's one of those spiritual paradoxes. Both of those things are true. Both of those things are very true. You can absolutely ascend and you can absolutely get to a very powerful place within you. Your masculine, your mother, your inner mother and father in their divinity can be whole and within and in one. And in fact, must be for union. Okay. But there's something that's been occurring for me because I experienced inner union. I've been in inner union for a while now. And for me, it started to become less and less about the twin. And it was like, yeah, okay, cool. I hope I send this person love. I hope they're doing well, but they're not a part of my life. That just, you know. And that path led me to all of these downloads now, which is, yes, you can experience success. Yes, you can experience love with someone else. Yes, you can experience these other things, but it's not going to be what we have in store for you, what your mission is, the true abundance, the true ease, the true recognition, right? That cannot occur if it is part of your soul contract in this lifetime to come together. And for some it is and some it isn't. And I think that's why it gets sort of confusing for people whenever we do blanket truths, whenever teachers, you know, someone on TikTok, you know, whoever it is out there just says, this is the blanket truth and it goes this way for everyone. No, never the case. That's why twin flame journeys are so unique. But there's always a through line, which I see in client sessions all the time. They're super easy to identify. I'll say that. But they're, you know, they're all different. They're all different. They come in all shapes and sizes. Let's say that. But the true union of self and the true activation comes from both people being whole and balanced in their inner mother, inner father. And recognizing and acknowledging, yes, I am twin. You are twin. You are my counterpart. That recognition is really important. And the recognition happens right away. It happens when you meet on a soul level. But it takes a while sometimes for the ego self, the conscious mind, depending on how much trauma, how much pain, how much fear, how much ego is alive in the humans. And the humans, the twins select specific families to incarnate into, to heal and to transmute the karma that you know you have to transmute and heal in this lifetime. So, you know, a divine masculine is going to select a lifetime and upbringing that might really turn away from the feminine energy, that might almost disrespect, abandon the feminine energy, the feminine impulse. So this could be a mother who's not loving, not very kind, not mothery, not very nurturing, very distorted in her feminine output or distorted in her masculine output, that she runs on a masculine energy and lack of forgiveness, lack of unconditional love, just these sort of things. That's very where this masculine may learn, oh, the feminine impulse is kind of dangerous. The feminine impulse is actually kind of scary, or whatever that their human self takes on from that. And then a divine feminine could incarnate into a family where she needs to learn about the distorted masculine energy. So she maybe experiences abuse, pain, suffering at the hands of a masculine, that the masculine isn't safe, that the masculine doesn't love me, the masculine abandons me, because she needs to get whole in her inner masculine. She needs to ascend and rise past that, and vice versa for the masculine. The masculine needs to come to the divine mother, to bypass the human mother, because the human mother is flawed. The human mother does the best that they can, and that ain't good enough most of the time. Most of our wounds really do come from mother and father. They really, really do. And mother is a intense wound to transmute, and I'm sure some of you have really experienced that. And both of these, early childhood experiences with father, with mother, are going to create a blueprint within that human of, this is what love means, this is what I need to do to get love, this is how I need to behave, this is how I need to act. And then you manifest partners just like that person. Sometimes we can distort, right? So sometimes we can go the far other end of the spectrum on the surface of our father or mother. But if you go to the energetic blueprint, it's the same feeling. Okay? So I never dated anyone that was even remotely similar to my dad. Okay? Never. But I still got those same wounds that my dad gave me in those relationships, right? My dad wasn't abusive. He wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't out of control like that. But he wasn't connected to his feminine, his inner feminine and his emotion. And he wasn't able to show physical affection, verbal affection. He just wasn't able to show love. He didn't know how. He couldn't. So that manifested, right? And it goes kind of both ways. I mean, like I said, every twin flame story is different because it's specific karma that you need to heal. And all your karma is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. And there's specific points on the path that you're meant to meet. It's like a map. It's like you draw out this map together and you're like, okay, we're going to get here and then we're going to get there. And then, okay, and then this is going to happen. And it looks super easy, right? When you're up in the one and the wholeness with source energy and you're just like, living, I don't know. It's hard to even comprehend what that must feel like, right? But it's peace. It's only love. Love is all that exists there. And you're planning this and you're like, we got this. This is going to be great. No problem. And then you come into Earth and you're like, oh shit. We've made a huge mistake. Take backsies. Like delete, just kidding. But then you're there, and you're on the path, you're on the journey, right? You go through the portal of not being able to remember, and you can't remember why you're here, who you are. And, many twin flames that I've talked to experienced a lot of sadness in childhood, unexplainable sadness, right? So just kind of like an old soul and an old, like a little, if you see a 3-year-old who's sad for no reason and they're just kind of this old deep soul, that's probably a twin flame. So we incarnate, we make these choices, we go through these patterns with karmic souls, other karmic souls that we've had past lives with. Oftentimes the karmic energy is just as connected to you and your twin. So for example, if you're a feminine and your divine masculine has a really strong karmic influence person in their life, toxic relationship, toxic mother, I don't know, whatever, you fill in the blank. Usually, and I don't want to say usually, but oftentimes I see in my work that the divine feminine and the mother actually have a lot of karma together as well, or vice versa, okay? So sometimes on a higher spiritual plane of consciousness and perspective, the karmic engaging with the masculine is actually trying to get to the feminine, which is why she is obsessed with the feminine, right? I see this a lot. I see a lot of karmic energies that they get really obsessed with the feminine once they know that the feminine exists, right? And they try and mimic the feminine, right? And then you see a lot of these stories with, a divine masculine who connects with his divine feminine, doesn't recognize it, can't see past his pain and his ego and his fear, and then goes with all of that energy that he just was activated and initiated with, all that passion, all that excitement, all that drive, everything that happened from his twin flame activation, and goes and gives it to a karmic. And it's so painful for a feminine. It's like, how the hell? I don't understand. And that's the karma. That's the working out of that karma to complete that. So when you look at it from a higher perspective, the masculine twin, and I'm sure this could be the feminine twin at times. I know it is. Of course it is. You both do this for each other and in different lifetimes. But in that particular scenario that I'm talking about with the masculine twin that goes deep back into the karma, whatever it is, with whoever it is, he kind of protects feminine in the 3D. Whether he consciously knows it or not, he protects feminine. He takes on that karma, transmutes it, works it out, right? And working it out can look like getting married to this person. I'm not even kidding. I know this is really painful, but working it out can look like doubling down back into this, right? Moving across the country with this person, leaving, having a baby with this person. I don't know. There's so many different scenarios and paths. And for the feminine on the other end, she's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, okay, maybe it wasn't my person. I don't know. Like, this can't be. How does this happen? It's all orchestrated. There is a divine higher purpose. And I know when you're in it, it's so hard to see. Okay, it's so hard to see. But there's this really powerful, law? That's not correct. There's an influence that's occurring, a very powerful influence that's occurring for both of you, where you're drawn into situations with people, with places, with things that, you're like, this doesn't feel right? Like, why am I drawn to this person? This person's an asshole. Like, why am I spending any time with this person? And you're spiritual, so you know kind of what codependent is, what narcissists are, you have an understanding, and yet you're compelled. You have to complete that karma. This lifetime is the lifetime to complete this karma, period. That's what we're doing, and it can feel so maddening. Like, why can't they see? Or why did I, you get mad at yourself. Why did I mess with this person? Why did I do this? You had to. Like, this is what I mean when I talk about twin flames and free will versus no free will. Like, when you're on the higher path, when you're working with your guides, it's like you're in this surrender, and like, whether you consciously know or you don't, this has to be completed. And you're not just doing this for yourself. You're doing this for your twin. You're doing this for humanity. You're doing this for Sophia. You're doing this for the divine. You're doing this for the collective, period. And I know that it's just a lot. It's a lot. And it's really hard to feel that and to see that when you're in the moment of it. But that is what's occurring. And oftentimes, masculine energy needs to learn about distorted feminine energy, karmic feminine energy, to know what divine feminine energy is. They have to. They have to know what it is. And what I see a lot in this wave of twins is masculine energy doesn't know the difference until he's activated by his divine feminine. So he's activated by his divine feminine, can't make sense of it, super confused, runs away, right? It's too intense, runs away, goes and engages with other feminine energies, and is like, well, this is not, it's not until that he can see those karmics, those feminine energies in their truth, where he's like, holy shit, this ain't right. This can't be feminine. But you have to remember, that's part of the process of the healing. That's part of the karma that's being released. And that's where feminine sort of sacrifices herself. She gets herself involved in this entanglement. And whether or not you're involved with the karmic and like a triangle and whatever or not, you're still sacrificing the pain of that moment and the emotion of that moment to be like, yeah, I'll come in and then let him leave me so I can awaken him, so that I can wake him up from his slumber. I'll do that for you. Right? So there's so much like beauty in these journeys, the masculine sacrificing his body, his 3D body, literally. Masculines have so many health issues, they really do, to suffer through 3D karma for the both of you. And oftentimes that karma is the feminine's karma from a past life, right? And he's doing it so that she can be in a safe cocoon with connection to the 5D, with connection to spirit, source, strengthening her faith, getting the channeled messages for the collective and teaching it. Because in my experience, feminines are meant to teach. And I just haven't come across anyone that didn't have that in their divine blueprint. Perhaps it exists, but for the most part, and especially this first wave collective, I really feel as a divine feminine, you're meant to teach. And when you're meant to teach, you're going to go through some shit to initiate you to be ready to teach, right? You can't teach what you don't know, so you got to experience it. So masculine creates that. Whether you got, no one's conscious of this, right? We're only conscious of it now. We're only getting these downloads now of like, what the fuck was that? What just happened, right? This is it. So he goes deeply into the 3D and tries to create safety in the 3D. And sometimes that does look like being with a karmic energy and sacrifice, just it looks like a shit show. And it's all for this higher mission, for him to learn what true divine feminine energy is with himself and in his community. And that's how he truly recognizes his divine feminine as the truth. And it's the same for feminine, but she kind of figures a lot of this stuff out, at least in my experience and what I've seen prior to meeting masculine. Feminine energy learns about what distorted masculine energy is, right? Toxic relationships, narcissists, abuse, whatever, all that. But both of these energies are here to learn about what our world has done to the masculine and feminine, the conditioning, the pain, the distortion, the lies, the deception, how we have really hurt one another, and how we have this pain as women, and what that means to be women, and how we are not respected and held in sacred honor, right, in the world from men. And then the same, that the masculine learns that he did that he was a part of that, and or that he was manipulated by the distorted feminine, and that he was hurt, right, by this distorted feminine energy that is only a product of the pain in the collective and what happens when we are oppressed. I hope I'm making that make sense. I wanted to share a quote from this book that really kind of solidified for me this beautiful, because something that's been coming really online for me and getting really real and present is this idea of how the masculine and the feminine energy uplifts, heals, holds, and just works so beautifully with one another, how they're meant to work, right? And I've shared it before, but the vision I get and where I see it is feminine plugs into source, the divine. Masculine plugs into her, and he's rooted in earth. And it's like this connection, like it's like the chakra system. It's like you are a complete connected vessel. But he look at the world. Look at what the world does to masculine. Don't plug into one woman, talking about like the over-sexuality, the porn industry, like all of this, like, oh, don't commit, don't settle, like just all of the programming and the mind control that's out there for men that hurt them. And they don't always see it, but it hurts them just as much as it hurts women. And women are a sexual commodity. They're an object. They're property. They're this, they're that, whatever. Right? Like, just look at that. And then women have no faith, and they have no trust, and they don't have self-worth, and they don't see who they truly are. And it's because there's no connection, right? There's no connection to the divine. Because a woman plugged into a man, which is backward society, which is what we've had. We've had a society where women have been told to plug into a man, to hitch their trailer to a man, right? Because if you think about it, even like years and years ago, women couldn't get bank accounts. They couldn't open their own bank accounts. They didn't make money. They didn't, there was no way for them to survive without a man, right? But that's backwards. That's the inversion. That's the mind control. That was by design. Men have wombs too, but they're energetic wombs. But women are portals, quite literally walking portals with wombs that create from the no thing within them. They don't need to hook in to someone else. That's not how their energy is meant to work. They are a negative charge. They are a receiver. They don't hook in. They're not that charge. Masculine hooks in. Masculine is focus. Masculine energy is the initiation, the creative energy, right? So masculine needs a focus in order to create. You know, this quotes you hear, oh, behind every powerful man is a wonderful woman. I mean, gross, right? Kind of gross. But that at the energy of that, that's what that is. That's what that is. That helps men and masculine energy create, right? Feminine energy is creating, right? There's a channel, but it's like an open vessel, sort of, if you will. These are really complicated complicated concepts, so I hope I'm doing justice. Back to the quote, right? Maybe this will tie it all together. Okay. In this next age of miracles, women must claim their divine right to fully embody the Sophia code within them and take up the mantle of divine feminine Christ leadership. Yeah, we have to teach. We're here to teach. For women are the buffalo of community, birthing and raising every generation from the prayer of their wombs. When women are supported to dream in peace, that's exactly what I'm talking about, that connection to the channel, men become woven into their prayer and know their own worth by supporting their women birthing a new paradigm into reality. Yeah, so that explains it in a much more beautiful, poetic way, but that's exactly what I was actually trying to communicate. And that's what the twins are here to do. We are meant to be the examples of that, the pioneers of that. We are meant to lead in that mission, which is why this mission is so important, which is why you can't come into sacred union until you transmute and heal the pain that you hold within your body around masculine energy, the pain that you hold within your body around feminine energy. It has to be healed. It has to be transmuted before we can live in that space, before we can be working so beautifully like that with one another. But that is, I've been lucky enough to experience in a brief moment what that feels like, what that energy feels like, where divine feminine channels, gifts it to a masculine energy, and then the masculine energy embodies it, amplifies it, and then creates from it. I was like moved to tears. It's magic, right? And that is what that's how we're designed. There's an attack on this energy, right? There's an inversion on this energy, and twins are here to heal it, which is why the mission is so great, why the mission is so important, and why the 3D union is so important. I was fully guilty of kind of getting away from that. Okay, guilty is a weird, yeah. But I was very, okay, well, I can't, I don't know what this person's doing. I don't know, whatever. I got my mission. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to connect from unconditional love and just be there and be present. But in a sense, that was me running, which is funny, right? That was the chaser runner energy. That was me being like, yeah, no. And I know I see feminines go through this, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle because we just don't know what's around the next bend. We can't plan. We can't know we can't, especially in the 3D world, there's no way for us to really plan and be like, okay, yeah, so Tuesday, I'm gonna, this next Tuesday, I'm gonna go create a prayer, right? And then I'm gonna give it to you, right? Okay, cool. And then and it's gonna come from my womb, right? And then you're gonna, we can't plan because I don't know. We just don't know. And I know that makes it really hard. And that's another thing that we're learning is this no time, is not being able to plan, especially for feminine energy. I can't speak to that too much with masculine energy because I think that masculine energy is different in that where action is actually very important and empowering. I don't think anyone should be super far into the future trying to plan, but I feel like masculine energy probably doesn't go through this as much. But for feminines, we really are meant to just sit in the no thing energy, in the no time energy, in the womb energy, and just sit, gestate, cultivate. We're weaving our dreams, right? We're spelling, we're spell casting with words. That is spells. Literally, your words are spells, okay? So we're creating, and in the process, we're in service. In the process, we're sharing the message. In the process, we're helping others. In the process, we are present to what is, and also seeing the future of what could be and what will be. So I think that's the general idea that they wanted me to get through. But the energies, when they come together, it's completion. It's peace. And peace is remembering that only love is real. That's like a lovely oracle deck that I have, and that's one of the cards. Peace is remembering that only love is real. And that comes together fully at that completion. And any completion is a rebirth and a cycle beginning anew, right? The tens in the tarot goes back to the ace. The world goes back to the fool. So that's what we're moving towards. And then it starts. And then I bet you the next leg of the journey is about this, like experimenting with this together, figuring out how this works together. What is the mission together? What are you creating together? And for some it is teaching. For some it is coaching. For some it is spiritual business. For some it's children. For some it's being healthy parents. What would that look like? Holy shit, what would that look like? To be healthy, healed parents, awake parents, right? Man, that's beautiful to imagine, right? But there's a lot of beautiful missions that come at the next leg. And we're just in the birth canal. We're in the birthing pains right now. But it's why, I guess the last thing, it's why this journey takes the time it does. Because you got to be healed for what's coming next. You got to be solid for what's coming next. You have to be strong, feminines, in your faith, in your worth, in your knowing. You have to sit on a throne. You have to crown yourself and know you're worthy of that. Masculines, you have to be decisive. You have to be clear. You have to have clarity. You have to be a protector. And you have to sit on your throne and crown yourself and know that you're worthy of this fucking incredible woman, right? Feminine just needs to know she's worthy to the world. Masculine needs to know he's worthy for her, right? Because I think there's this subconscious thing where masculine energy tends to go towards feminines that he knows he's better than, or I don't want to say it like that. That's not right. But like, he's not afraid of them. There's no intimidation, right? But then that ends badly as well for many other reasons. But it's all karma being transmuted. But both the twins and twin flames in general have a very easy time of seeing the beauty and the grace and the divinity in others. But when you can start to recognize the beauty and grace and divinity within yourself, that is when things really can take off. All right, I think that's complete. I hope so. They don't give me much structure. I just speak. I hope you guys have a beautiful full moon. It's intense energy. No, you're not alone. A lot of people are feeling it. I just personally, I'm just needing to sleep a lot. So that's kind of how it's working its way through my body. But magical things, I think, are in the offing. In the offing. Anywho, love you guys. I hope you have a beautiful full moon.